Let's just go for it, Dad.
Right.
Badly banged up Royal Mail van. At some time in my stories of little incidents that had scant mention, it now seems right to try and fill out at least the geggie, or as other would call it, go-kart happening. Alex G, his name withheld for security reasons, our very inventive pal, had designed a steerable geggie. He was quite a specialist in their construction. Well, after all, he was the only one in the neighbourhood who had pram wheels and planks of wood, suitable for such highly specialised work. He had asked for volunteers to join him on the trial runs. These were to be down a well-tried route, often used over the years. The trial started at the top of Glenalmond Street, facing downhill towards Shettleston, and would terminate at Glenalmond Street, which was at the bottom of the hill. The first run went without a hitch, and the 4 volunteers quickly rushed the speedy vehicle back up to the top of the hill. Run 2, all aboard, and off at full speed. Unfortunately, the post office van arrived at the same time as the geggie. The collision knocked the post office van over on its side. I should point out that the van was built to the design of a baby Austin car. This was most noticeable when you saw the wheels. They very closely resembled muscular cycle wheels, with slightly stronger spokes and a very light box-like cabin. Painted in post office red, it looked very like a large child's toy. The vehicle was certainly very easily knocked over when the geggie hit it. For a few short seconds nothing moved. That was until the postman managed to stand up and poke his head out the driver's side window. He shouted that they would all go to jail as they attacked the King's Mail. Most of the geggie crew were up till that point scattered on the roadway. One could say slightly disorientated, where the postman's shout found the strewn volunteers on their feet quickly, finding hiding places. The van was easily righted, and a still shaking postman drove off. I can only imagine his version of that day's happenings. Christopher McChesney, recorded first, July 27th, 2015.
Right. The story really was written about the start of the Second World War. Alec G, for security reasons, was very, very good at building geggies, as we called them. And Glenalmond Street really was a fantastic hill to come down. Mind you, if you happen to be a person whose path ended, or front gate was at Glenalmond Street, you stood a very good chance of being an early victim in Glasgow Royal Infirmary. But that never happened. It just happened to be that as the post office van came along, we didn't think it was a very abnormal van, but nowadays kids would laugh at it and think it was something put together with sellotape and string sort of stuff. Anyway, there would be about 4 or 5, maybe more than that on the geggie. It was quite a long one. And Alec had devised a system where it was called a steering wheel. It was another spare wheel with an axle, and he jammed it in at the front of the geggie and taken a rope from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and instead of it turning the wheel, all he done was to pull the wheel over from one side to the other, probably like a joystick in a plane. And it was very effective in the first run. Second run, unfortunately, one of the strings broke and the wheel, well, they might keep staying on, but that was roughly at the point of breaking when it hit the post office van. I wasn't on it. I didn't really totally see the accident, for I was just walking past about a fraction second after the accident happened. And I must admit, looking at the post office van lying at its side, I thought, well, that's been careless, just left it like that. It was at that point the postman put his head out the window and started shouting at the boys that were scattered all over the pavement and the roadway. In these days, by the way, there wasn't much mobile traffic on the roads. It was nearly all horse and cart. And, well, it was amazing to see how quickly all the bodies could vaporise, disappear. Some of them quite badly injured. Jim L., at security again, was very guilty of crying the minute he got a cut. And, of course, he ran away to his mum, who lived in a house at the side of the burn. That'll appear in later stories, the burn. And, well, it was magnificent, the speed that they all moved. We all thought the geggie would be an ideal means of getting information from one street to another when the Germans arrived, for we fully believed that there would be an invasion and the Germans would come over and take over. We had in fact devised a lot of ideas of how to in fact deal with them as well. But that was it, 1940 odds. And we by the way, in these days, designer clothes were not a thing. You wore a jersey until it had holes in the elbows, and if your granny was good, she darned them. If she wasn't too bad, well, they hung together until they fell off. And it was normally, we went to school with these clothes and we played in these clothes. A uniform would only be something you would see in American films. Nothing like that was present at that particular time of the war. That's about the end of the story, although there was a lot more happening with Alec Galt and, withdraw that remark. Alec, I'll leave you at that. Bye. Stop.